And we've got our pilot, Shubhansu Shukla, and radically changed how humanity gets to space. After the space shuttle program ended in 2011, NASA astronauts primarily used the Russian Soyuz spacecraft to travel to and from the International Space Station. From 2011 to 2020, the Soyuz was the only human-capable launch vehicle available, and in December of 2010, Dragon became the first commercially built and operated spacecraft to be recovered successfully from orbit. And that mission, known as COTS-1, was the first demonstration flight for NASA's Commercial Orbital Transportation Services, or COTS program. And the purpose of COTS was to develop and demonstrate commercial sources for cargo resupply of the International Space Station. Now,
copy. Main chute descent rate nominal 1,000 meters for Dragon.
We copy 1,000 meters.
Great visual confirmation, as well as those comms that the 4 main parachutes have deployed.
The vehicle signature, through things like cloud lighter and any kind of atmospheric disturbance, allows us to maintain visual contact with the vehicle as it's making its final descent for its water landing.
And it's a little foggy, as you can see there.
Yeah, Pacific fog is rolling in.
We've got some very bright lights as Dragon, you can see the ocean there. Dragon is about to touch down in just a few seconds here.
And working their way towards the vehicle are the SpaceX and Axiom support teams that will be present for the next phase of our splashdown coverage today. At this point, we'll be waiting for confirmation of the crew's safe landing, and then we'll move into the phases of this mission, which are really, let's recover the vehicle, let's recover the crew, let's make our assessments, and at that point, we'll be covering.
And we have splashdown of the AX-4 crew back on planet Earth.
Welcome home.
SpaceX Dragon splashdown. We are in Stable 1.
SpaceX copies splashdown in Stable 1. On behalf of SpaceX, welcome home.
And thanks for the great ride and the safe trip, and Grace is happy to be back.
We are happy to have you back home safely as well.
Some words between the core and our commander.
Yep.
Do some final safety checks and then help begin setting up the rigging for the spacecraft to be lifted out of the water.
That's right. It's all part of a coordination, a choreography of events, right? Getting from spacecraft is in the water. What are the next few steps that have to occur before?
Dragon copies, 5 minutes. LOS.
Again, the Corps just keeping the crew updated with the operations that they're performing. They won't have comms for about 5 minutes, but rigging is continuing, as we can see there, with the recovery crew member standing on top of the spacecraft.
Yeah, working very important procedures for the next phase of the AX-4 mission. And for those of you who have been following along since June 25th, when the Falcon 9 lifted off from Kennedy 39A, this was missions. Being able to say that Peggy has flown on multiple Dragon spacecraft at this point, kind of highlight that every time she's going to still go through the same training that she did for the last mission, that all these crew members, that all of the ground support personnel are going to be ready to support missions like these from even well before crew is on the launch pad, all the way through splashdown, pulling them onto the recovery vessel here for the Dragon spacecraft. And you can see on your screen both the fast boat and the recovery vessel Shannon making approach to Grace, our Dragon spacecraft.
There you can see what we call the Dragon nest. When the spacecraft is lifted up out of the water, it's going to seat into that ring that you see there at the end of the recovery vessel there. And once the spacecraft is
30 minutes ago, and we are now in the
Dragon SpaceX, rigging is complete. Stand by for capsule lift.
Dragon copies.
Dragon SpaceX, capsule lift in progress, brace.
all right, good verbal confirmations there and visual confirmations that we're getting a successful lift.
Dragon copies.
again, those comms, crew can't see what's happening outside
Right.
of the spacecraft, so letting the crew know what's happening so they understand, the vehicle moving,
Exactly.
what those different feelings are with the spacecraft moving around.
Trying to give crew some level of situational awareness of where they are and where they're going next. So Dragon will remain in the nest during the crew extraction and for the journey back into port. The spacecraft is currently was just lifted, as you saw, and set on the nest. And from here, it'll be centered and oriented. And then from there, Dragon will be translated into the hangar underneath the helipad aboard the ship so that we can then open the hatch. And once open, a SpaceX medical doctor will be the first one in to check on the crew to see if they are ready to egress out of the vehicle. And as we noted earlier, Axiom medical teams are also on the recovery vessel working in tandem with SpaceX staff to assess and assist the crew.
The astronauts will egress, or what we call exit, from Dragon's side hatch, pending spacecraft orientation in the water. Before opening the hatch, the spacecraft's cabin pressure must be equalized with the outside environment. Now, once the hatch is opened, that will be the Axiom 4 crew's first breath of fresh air since boarding Falcon 9 at the start of their mission on June 25th.
And that will be an exciting moment for the crew, I know. But for the crew and also for the ground crews, getting that first confirmation of your crew exiting the spacecraft, getting good medical checks, and then coming out and giving a thumbs up is something everybody wants to be able to see, and we'll be able to see it soon.
Yeah. And it looks like the spacecraft is nestled into the nest.
Dragon SpaceX, welcome aboard the recovery ship. Apology for the delayed call earlier. We are still working to transition the forward link. Recovery personnel are completing their final checks, and I will let you know when we are ready for translation across the deck to the egress platform.
Now, they are de-rigging the spacecraft, but they're also doing some final sniff or leak checks and then covering the thruster locations prior to opening that hatch. Let's just make sure that the vehicle is more than safe for the crew members to exit the vehicle. Again, if you're just now joining us, the Dragon spacecraft has been lifted onto the recovery vessel Shannon. Now the recovery crew is safing the vehicle. They're putting some covers on the thrusters of the vehicle just to ensure, now that the spacecraft is no longer in operation, we don't need those thrusters. They did some sniff checks before they put some covers on it.
SpaceX, comm check.
We have you loud and clear in Dragon.
Copy that, Dragon. We have you the same. Welcome aboard the recovery ship. We are working to troubleshoot the forward link transition. Stand by for translation across the deck. I'll let you know when we're ready for that.
Okay, copy.
The crew is preparing for translation. This is where that Dragon nest is going to move the spacecraft towards the deck, and that deck is going to meet the bottom of the Dragon hatch, and that'll enable the crew to egress or exit the Dragon spacecraft onto a platform on the recovery vessel. And again, the recovery crew looks like they may have finished safing the vehicle in preparation for that translation.
As you mentioned, Jesse, that hatch that you see right in the center of the spacecraft, when we see crew egress from that, SpaceX medical personnel will be there to assess crew and assist them along with other ground support crew out of the spacecraft. And at that point, that will be our first time being able to see the AX-4 crew since their liftoff to the International Space Station on June 25th. On a side note, I do love seeing crew go into and come out of the hatch, whether it's the side hatch or whether it is the docking port. I love seeing the smiles on their faces.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting for them once we open this Dragon side hatch. Again, it'll be the first breath of fresh air in about 20 days for them since they boarded the Falcon 9 on launch day.
And it is an interesting distinction. You launch in the Atlantic and you splash down the Pacific. It's very different breaths of air that you're getting.
And you traveled all over space for thousands of miles.
288 orbits, something like 7.6 million miles, all just to come down across the country.
Millions of miles, I should say. It's definitely a great passport to have.
It is. Maybe that could be the next memento that that we can provide crew before they lift off as a passport that they can stamp.
I think the locations would be orbits.
That'd be really cool.
Outside of Earth.
Yeah.
Earth orbits, low Earth orbit. Again, next up, we are expecting the translation of the Dragon spacecraft named Grace, named by the Axiom Mission 4 crew. Again, the spacecraft will translate in preparation for hatch opening and exiting of the vehicle.
A few moments ago, Core spoke with the AX-4 crew to let them know that the translation will be happening soon.
Dragon SpaceX, final checks are complete. Translation across the deck to the egress platform will begin shortly. There is a chance that we get a lot of alarms. No concern.
Dragon copies.
And we have movement. Translation is beginning. Some residual ocean water flashing down, and then we are washing down the hatch area. Again, just preparing for the vehicle's side hatch to be opened. Getting some of that salt water off, maybe some of that plasma from reentry off.
Right. Right, all nominal processes to ensure that that crew can safely egress the vehicle, but also that ground personnel are safely protected while handling the spacecraft and crew as well. So at this point, we can see SpaceX personnel positioning themselves to support in this, as well as the spacecraft making final approaches to that upper landing pad for crew to egress the vehicle. After that freshwater washdown of the hatch area, we're seeing some final wipe downs as well. For those with a keen eye as well, you can see on the side of Grace, as it was making its approach towards the upper landing, the Axiom logo proudly displayed on the spacecraft. We had some great shots during the docking footage of SpaceX, Axiom, making a beautiful image of the vehicle docked to the International Space Station. It's a little worn,
Little
but
toasty.
A little toasty.
A little toasty.
All part of nominal ops, though.
3,500 degrees Fahrenheit
That'll
will do that.
Dragon, SpaceX, standby for side hatch opening and egress of some smiling faces.
Here we go.
All right, we're looking forward to it.
They are just about to open that side hatch. And again, first person that'll greet the crew will be the medical officer. Slide.
But in addition to that slide, we do have, there's a complex tool that you mentioned earlier, Jesse, about protecting the seals. We can see now crew looking to make, the first crew members looking to make their egress from spacecraft along that slide.
Sliding out.
And there she is. We see Commander Peggy Whitson, all smiles, exiting the spacecraft Grace. That is a beautiful sight. Peggy Whitson, the AX-4 commander, is home, having logged 695 days in space on 5 flights. She is the 7th on the all-time list for most days in space by a human. It's an incredible feat.
Legendary. Waiting to see who's up next.
Right. If Peggy is in the indication, which I think she is for this particular crew, we'll see another big smile coming out of the Dragon spacecraft in a moment.
And we've got our pilot, Shubhansu Shukla, as our second crew member exiting the spacecraft. And some big smiles, as you said. India reached a major milestone for the nation's space exploration goals. AX-4 pilot Shubhansu Shukla became the first astronaut to fly from the country's newly established astronaut.
We have our third crew member now egressing the vehicle. And there is Sławomir Uznański-Wiśniewski of Poland. Sław is all smiles for this, which I love to see. Now, Poland's participation in the AX-4 mission through the Ignis program marked a pivotal step in the country's growing role in space exploration. Astronaut Sławomir Uznański-Wiśniewski, flying in partnership with the European Space Agency, led a research agenda focused on some of the most pressing challenges in human spaceflight: mental health, artificial intelligence, and radiation monitoring. These areas are critical not only for ensuring astronaut well-being on long-duration missions, but also for enabling safe and sustainable exploration beyond low Earth orbit. The Ignis mission reflects Poland's strategic investment in cutting-edge science and its ambition to contribute meaningfully to the future of deep space travel. It also signals a broader shift in Europe's space landscape, where emerging space nations are taking on increasingly vital roles in shaping the next era of exploration. And based on that smile, I'd say Sław felt like he had a very successful mission.
Three of four crew members have exited the Dragon spacecraft. We're now just waiting for the final crew member, Tibor, to exit the spacecraft here. And last but not least, mission specialist Tibor Kapu. Hungary marked a significant milestone in its space ambitions with the AX-4 mission as astronaut Tibor Kapu became the first Hungarian to reach the International Space Station, and all smiles from him there. His participation under the banner of the Hunor Hungarian to Orbit program represents Hungary's commitment to advancing its role in international space exploration. This mission signifies the country's return to human spaceflight after decades and highlights its strategic investment in science, technology, and innovation.
And Jesse, it was wonderful seeing Tibor's smiles and waves and high fives. You knew how important this mission was to the crew as they were prepping for it and throughout the mission. And seeing them be able to egress with the same smiles that they went into the capsule with, or into the spacecraft with,